Hey guys, this is Ian back with another video and welcome to my review of the KZ DQ6S. Alright, so this is a collaboration between KZ and HBB, Hawaiian bad boy, and he retuned the original DQ6 and now they call it the DQ6S. And I would like to thank KZ for sending this out to me in exchange for an honest review. By the way, whatever I say in this video is my own opinion. This video has not been scripted and they will be watching this video at the same time as you guys are. Alright, so this is the retuned version of the DQ6. The box is exactly the same as the original one, which was launched last year. The impedance is 25 ohms, the sensitivity is 116, and the frequency response is 20 to 40,000 hertz. And the box is pretty similar as well. It's got the IEM sitting right in front here, and then you get some instruction manual, which is this one right here. It's in English and Chinese. You get 3 sets of ear tips, 2 here, and 1 which is already on the IEM itself. So you get 2 color options. This time round you get the rose gold version, and also you get graphite, which is, I think is gray, and you get the one with the mic or without the mic. So the one I got is without the mic, alright, and the cable itself is the standard KZ cable, right? It's a single braided type of cable, and yeah, pretty standard. It's got a angled 3.5 headphone jack, the memory ear hooks. Okay, it's exactly the same. Alright, so I have the original DQ6 right here, and the cable looks exactly the same. You can't really tell them apart. It's just that this one is a little bit lighter. Okay, so the shell itself is also the same. The driver is also the same. So inside this IEM, you have 3 dynamic drivers. You have one 10mm dynamic driver, and you have 2 smaller dynamic driver, which is 6mm. And that's about it. This is the rose gold one, which is pretty okay. Gold is my color as well. I kind of like gold. And the ear tips is actually those Starline, the new Starline ear tips, which is a little bit different from the original one. The original one doesn't have the Starline tip. So yeah, that's one thing that is new. Okay, other than that, the shell is exactly the same. Okay, so this is actually retailing for $32 US. If you guys are interested, do check out the link in the description below. Right, so I'm sure you guys are curious what's the difference between the new DQ6S as compared to the original DQ6. Right, so let's talk about the sound of these DQ6S before I compare them with the DQ6. Right, so for the sound signature is more of a V-shaped type of IEM. The sub bass is really elevated, it's really powerful, it's rumbly, it's got good extension. In fact, it's pretty extended, overly extended. It does bleed into the mids, and it's warm, it's pronounced, it's got a heavy note to the bass or sub bass, and the mid bass as well. You know, it's impactful, it's warm, it's, you know, very bassy type of IEM. It's not as bassy as some other IEMs that I have, for example the ZAS. In terms, that one is really bloated type of bass. This is, I would say, a little bit loose. It's not bloated to that extent, but it's loose type of bass. It doesn't go all over the frequency, but it's, yeah, controlled in a certain way. So for the mid bass, it's also quite impactful. Okay, and I feel that bass on the this DQ6S, and it does give me that thump all right, that I want when I look for bassy IEMs. For the mids, okay, the mids is a little bit recessed. So instruments like the pianos, the violins, the trumpets, the clarinets, you can tell that it's a little bit recessed. They're not as forward as some other IEMs that I have, like for example the NM2s or even the Clinical CRN. Okay, so those have more prominent and more forward mids. The mids on this, though they do carry some weight, but you know, in terms of the forwardness and the warmth of it, it is there, but yeah, you can feel that it's a bit recessed as compared to the percussions and the bass drums and the bass guitars. So mids is a bit recessed. Okay, the vocals also, I mean, they are not as forward as some other IEMs. And male vocals, yeah, they sound great, but you can feel that it's very heavy on the note weight. It's warm, and well, for male vocals, they sound great because it's supported by the mid bass and the sub bass with that rumble. But female vocals, they don't sound, they sound a little bit dull and a little bit laid back, and the energy is a little bit lacking for the female vocals. They don't sparkle, and at times they do peak. Okay, they are not sibilant, all right, they are not shouty. So I think they have fixed that part there on this DQ6S. Previously, the DQ6, they do sound shouty and they do peak a lot on certain tracks. So yeah, on this new one, the DQ6S is not as shouty as the DQ6. Now for treble, so same thing for treble. Treble seems a little bit blunt, and they have the extension, but it's not as, I mean, the roll-off is not as far as I would hope for. So thus, cymbal strikes and electric guitars, they sound a little bit blunt, and the roll-off is a little bit short. So treble, but then again, it fixed that peakiness of the treble and also the harshness of the treble region. So you won't feel any harshness or any peakiness or shoutiness in the treble region, but then on the other side, you don't get clear, crystal clear, and extended treble. So yeah, so treble wise, yeah, that's the fix that they did on this DQ6S. As for the soundstage is more of in your head kind of soundstage. Is more centric in your neural system. So it's not a wide soundstage. It's not, I mean, in terms of some tracks, they do come out of your head just that little bit for the percussions and the drums, which is in front, just that little bit. But even then, for most of the tracks that I've listened to, they're more in your head type of boxed in type of soundstage. The imaging, same. I mean, they do have a lot of height and width. So imaging on these IEMs is more on the height and the width itself. The percussions are in your head, right in the centric part of your neural system. Vocals as well. The instruments are more on the sides and on the top. So in terms of soundstage and imaging, it's like moving around in your head, and it's more of an intimate type of soundstage. The detail retrieval and resolution, they're okay. I mean, it's the same, almost the same as the original DQ6. So detail retrieval and resolution, I wouldn't say is the best. It's reasonable. You can pick up some micro details, and the resolution itself, it does have that clarity, but it's not a very clear and detailed retrieval type of IEM. Alright, so these are my thoughts of the DQ6S. And so what I think these IEMs are suitable for. So I've listened to the DQ6, I've got used to the DQ6 actually, and I listen mostly heavy metal, rock, EDM, R&B, and DMB. So I listen to these genre of music on the DQ6, and same goes for the DQ6S. I listen to most of these songs, this type of genre on the DQ6S, and I would say that the bass is really strong and prominent, and because of the short roll-off of the treble, the cymbal strikes, and the electric guitars, they don't sound as sharp and as sibilant on these IEMs, so it's bearable in my ears. It may be different for you guys, okay, but for me, I find that listening to heavy metal and rock and R&B on these very suitable. So what's the difference? Okay, what's the difference between the DQ6S and the DQ6? Now, in terms of sub bass, these DQ6S do have that little bit more of sub bass, right? And it's more rumbly, and it's more prominent as well. They also have a more impactful mid bass. Now, it's not by a lot, okay, but I can feel, by comparing these two, I can feel that this one has got a clearer and more prominent mid bass and sub bass. The mids are almost the same. In fact, this one is, again, the resolution and the detail retrieval on these are much better than the DQ6. So I would feel that the mids, you can feel more clarity from it in terms of the instruments and vocals. Now, treble. So treble is the part whereby they fixed the most. All right, so treble wise, there's less peakiness, there's no sibilance, there's no shoutiness, and it's not as harsh as the DQ6. So they fixed quite a bit on the treble region. In terms of detail retrieval, imaging, soundstage, they're almost the same. It's just that this one has got a bit more improvement in terms of the detail retrieval and the resolution. Okay, so yeah, this is the major comparison between these two. Now, if you have the DQ6, and would this be an upgrade? And my answer to you, yes. I mean, if you do find the sibilance on the DQ6 unbearable, then do upgrade to the DQ6S. Because I myself, personally, I enjoy using the DQ6 for certain genre of music. It's just that some parts of the treble, is quite unbearable to me. So this, to me, is a good upgrade. Now, for those of you who don't own the DQ6, then it's pretty obvious to get the DQ6S if you enjoy listening to heavy metal, rock, EDM, even techno, those type of genre of music. This IEM is suitable for that. All right, so that's it for my comparison of these two. Now, if you guys have any comments, do leave it down in the comment section again. This is retailing for $32 US. So if you guys are interested, check out the link down in the description below. Right, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something from this video and enjoyed this video. And if you did, do consider to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell so that you get notified of my future videos. All right, I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.